Good morning. How is everybody? I am back on my bridge and it's pretty outside. It's so nice to have it feel like spring. So how we doing on this Tuesday? We're in the middle of April. We have gone through a bunch of financial stuff. We had a lovely Zoom last night talking about money machines. I'll be happy to do another one and do one where I give better notice so that everybody's got a chance to get it on their calendar and we can meet and actually talk. So, Tony has this great phrase that I love where he says every action that a person does is either a sign of love and affection or it's a cry for help. Let's think about that for a second. Every action is either a sign of love and affection or a cry for help. How many times have we run into somebody and gotten a response from that person that we didn't feel was warranted or that didn't fit the situation or quite frankly was harsh and they came across as not a nice person, to put it nicely? Well, what I think my hallucination is what happens in those situations is what you're getting is a response from something else that is going on in that person's life. And it just happened that you hit them at a time when that's the response that you got and there was a lashing out. And so actually the actions that you got had nothing to do with you. You just happened to be in that place at that time. Now, is that fair? No, it's not fair. You didn't do anything to deserve that response. However, the intent matters. Did the person really intend to lash out at you? No, they're really mad about something, probably something they did that they now feel upset about, ashamed about, disappointed in themselves, or an event that happened to them that harshly affected them. And so now they're reacting in this way. So why is this important? Well, because it'll help you manage your response to that. We can get angry back and we can lash out back and then we can end up, yelling and screaming at each other, which gets us nowhere. Or there can be a more subtle response that at least holds space for that person. I love that phrase. I'm glad that we came up with that as humans. Or at a minimum, controls your response so that you don't get filled full of adrenaline and have this really horrible reaction. Instead of saying, what the hell's the matter with this person? I hate this person. Look at the way this person is acting. You can ask the question of, I wonder what's going on because this is a cry for help. And maybe you can help that person, maybe not, but you can help yourself. So I know I was at a restaurant one time and it was very busy and it's not long after we opened back up. So they were understaffed and the person came over to take our order. And to say the least, she was curt at best. Okay, did not respond very well when we asked a couple of questions. And because I have food allergies, unfortunately, so I had to ask some questions regarding food allergies. And the response was really not good. So I could tell that, the tension level at the table was rising. And so rather than let that happen, I just stopped and I said, you know, to the person taking our order, I said, I can tell that this place is way understaffed right now. And I can tell that you're managing way too many tables and are being asked to do more than you should be asked to do. And I'm sorry that you're in that situation. We are not in any rush. So why don't you give us a little bit of time and I can figure this out and come back whenever you're available, and then we'll go ahead and place our order. That way we can go ahead and get this all done and there won't be any issues. And she stopped and took a breath and said, thank you. She said, I'm running my tail off here. And then she told me her story, right? I'm running my tail off here and I just can't keep up and da 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 da. And I said, no problem. We got time. Well, now what happened? Well, now we got the best service of anybody there, which wasn't my intent, but that's what happened because she felt seen and heard. And instead of me taking it as an attack on us, which it wasn't, I understood that it was a cry for help from this person. And now we were able to, have a whole different experience. So as you're moving forward, try and remember when we're interacting with people that everything that people do is either a sign of love and affection or it's a cry for help. And so if the interaction is aggressive, Okay, that's a cry for help. And more often than not, it's a cry for help because of something that had nothing to do with you. And if you manage your state and interact with that person in a positive way, there's a really good chance that you're going to be able to positively impact their life, or at a minimum, make it so this interaction that you're having doesn't deteriorate into something worse. You know, Tony tells a great story about he was driving and he wasn't really paying attention as much as he could have. And he pulled out in front of a motorcycle. And the motorcycle pulled up by him when that happened and yelled and screamed and pointed its finger at him and did all of this stuff. So he stopped and he asked himself this question, well, that wasn't a lovely response, so that had to be a cry for help. So he followed the motorcycle guy. Now, of course, the motorcycle guy is like worried, like, oh my God, this guy is following me. Now he's going to come after me. So the motorcycle guy finally stopped. And then, of course, when Tony gets out of the car, Tony's the size of Karl Malone. He's 6'8", and he's about 280 pounds. So, and Tony's like, no. I just want to tell you I'm sorry. So he comes up to the guy and just says, hey, you were right. I was wrong. I just wanted to take a minute and tell you I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention as much as I could have and should have, and I'm sure that I alarmed you, and that resulted in this. And so you were right to say something, and I'm sorry that I caused that distress. Well, turns out the guy's been a motorcycle rider his whole life, and one of his good buddies had just been hit and killed on his bike by somebody who ran a stop sign. And most motorcycle wrecks, 95% of them are not the fault of the motorcycle driver; they're the fault of the other car. So that's why the guy lashed out. He didn't lash out because of what Tony did. There was a little bit of that, but what he really lashed out for was because he lost his friend. So take the opportunity as we're going through, we're coming up on tax day, always a good time to be stressed. Take the opportunity to remember that everything is a sign of affection and love or a cry for help. And if you get a cry for help, ask yourself the question, what's going on with this person that they're responding in this way? And at a minimum, you can manage your state and maybe you can help them out and make their day a little bit better. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm going to say hi, Mr. Drehobel down in Florida. Great to see you. Mr. Lampy, good morning as always. Teresa, so great to see you. Say hi to Jared and your hubby. I hope things are great. And Tammy, lovely to see you too. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. I really, truly appreciate it. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.